out this year, like under franchise fees. It doesn't really go over the water. So you can, it'll help us. Being designed to help us keep up with who owes us land. Same thing with other rentals, like to code now. It took another.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge and invocation. Mr. Kent.
Let us pray.
Let us pray. Lord God in heaven above, we take this time to think about and pray for the people of South Texas and Louisiana who were affected by Hurricane Laura. We ask that you be with them, and may we pray for them. May we have them in our thoughts. May we help them. May we help them with our resources. And especially across this nation, Lord, all the folks who are affected by natural disasters, floods and hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, we ask that you be with them, and we pray for them. Lord God, protect us all during this hurricane season. God bless us all. For all these things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
So we'll get started first with the agenda public comments. This is for...
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept the agenda.
Sorry. Motion to accept the agenda by Mr. Dempsey, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we're going to go to agenda public comment. We have a general public comment towards the end for just anything and everything that your heart desires. But this is specifically for any items that are on the agenda that you would like to comment on. So with that being said, we have allotted 30 minutes, and you get up to 3 minutes to speak to the board. And so if you would like to comment on any agenda item, you may come to the podium now. Stephen, can you help her out with the microphone?
Still.
I think it'll work.
Mary Ballard, 405 Guinness Avenue. In opposition to the 208 Cleveland application, sources I used in my comments come from minutes from the Ocean Springs Planning Commission, 2014 and 2015, the Board of Aldermen, minutes 2015, correspondence with the Planning Department, and from the United States Constitution. There seems to be no recourse route or grievance route as property owners under homeowners associations have within the city. Property owners from the long-established neighborhoods have no recourse route nor grievance route. Therefore, I'm asking the city to grant me equal protection as guaranteed by the United States Constitution, along with due process of law and protection of property against encroachment or infringement. Approval of this application would give me cause for a grievance. I am making inquiries under the Unified Development Code, and I have been in contact with the State Attorney General Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other items for any of the items on the agenda? Any public comments? All right. Let's go forward. Public hearing on old business, public hearing deferred indefinitely. Carolyn? Is that, I believe that they're just going back to the drawing board on their design.
Yeah, it was withdrawn by the applicant, or actually just deferred, or going back to the drawing board and incorporating the comments that were received at the planning commission public hearing. So it will go back to the planning commission before it comes back to you. It'll be re-advertised and re-noticed. So we don't have it scheduled yet. When we are able to put that on a planning commission meeting, that also will be advertised and noticed.
All right. Item B is tree appeal for 119 Surgeons. Ricky, did you have?
Yeah, I went out there and I looked at the trees with the homeowners, and I looked at the neighbor's yard in the back where, he did have a large root that was coming out of the ground that he dug up and he cut. So they are encroaching outside their landscaping, so I'm asking for a recommendation. I mean, I want to do a motion that we allow them to remove the cypress tree.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Hoffman. Who's the second, Mr. Gill? All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item C, discuss refund or rescheduling for Northwood Church for the Sundays in which church service could not be held at the Civic Center during the COVID pandemic. I'm in complete support of this. They have been outstanding to work with. They've done a lot with this building, and just as everyone knows, this pandemic has really thrown a monkey wrench into everybody's plans, and I would like to go ahead and grant this refund to Northwood.
I'll make a motion to grant the refund to the Northwood Church.
Second.
All right, motion on Mr. Cox, second on Mr. Hoffman. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item D, accept the certificate of clerk and report of elections commissioners for the Mississippi Power franchise special election on August 4th.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 4D.
Okay. Motion on Mr. Gill,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Capania. Any further discussion? Patty, this is just to
Certify for the state.
just to certify, same thing with item E?
Sir?
Same thing with item E?
Yes.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item E, adopt resolution declaring the results of the special election for the Mississippi Power franchise.
So moved.
All right, motion on Mr. Cox, second on Mr. Gill. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Is that a roll call? That's a resolution.
Yeah, it's just resolution.
That's not an ordinance.
All right, motion carries. All right. New business. Item A, discuss the Colonial Estates Utility Project at JCUA. So, I can't remember if everybody has a little cheat sheet right here that Patty gave out. This is in regards to a grant for the water and sewer lines for Colonial Estates. And if the JCUA could do it, or we could do it, and I have Eric Page here from JCUA. Would you like to come and explain to the board a little bit?
Yes, in 2016, JCUA applied for Core 592 funds to improve the water and sewer lines within the Colonial Estates area. Core 592 funds are a 75-25 program whereby the federal share is 75% and the local share is 25%. I understand, I wasn't at the authority at the time, but in 2017, there was a line tied in to feed to Colonial Estates, but the lines themselves within Colonial Estates were not improved at that time. JCUA was notified several months back by the Corps of Engineers out of Vicksburg that the application that we had done 4 years ago had come up and that they would like us to renew those numbers to verify the accuracy such that it appeared that they were going to fund our application. At that point in time, I contacted the city and said, hey, look, we've received notice from the Corps that it appears that our application may be approved. However, we don't want to step on anybody's toes. If the city would like to try to apply for the funding and commit to matching those local dollars, which Our match is somewhere in the neighborhood of $625,000 to $650,000 to service it using JCUA lines and to do the repairs within the area. It's a little over $2 million based upon our estimate of cost for the project. I don't know what it would take for the city of Ocean Springs to run the necessary lines to get to the area and to do those improvements within Colonial Estates itself. But I don't want to step on anybody's toes, so I don't know when, maybe early March or sometime in early April, I think was when we met. I might be off.
Yeah, we've been discussing it.
So,
since then.
we don't know for sure that we're going to get the funds in November, but we anticipate getting the funds in November. And what we would like is if the city doesn't want to commit the funds to do it themselves, if we get notified in November that we've gotten the funds, I'll approach you about voluntarily surrendering certificate for that area east of Riley Road around Colonial Estates only, so that we can go in and do the work for repairing and replacing all the water and sewer in that area. And that's essentially what we're talking about.
And I'm in supportive of it. I know that our, the water certificates is, a piece of, or could be a piece of, any further expansion plans that the city has in the future. But, I'm not, and Eric, talk to us a little bit about how easy or cumbersome that it would be to get it back in the future.
Well, in the future, if the city wanted it back, there would have to be a negotiation based upon the amount of expense that we incurred for the city to procure that water certificate back. However, if you want to annex the area, having the water certificate is not the end-all be-all to say you can or cannot annex anything. That's just part of the little equation on services being provided to any area. So in my mind, that's a moot point. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I've seen a lot of this done around. So that to me isn't the end-all be-all for the discussion, but that's somebody else more qualified than I need to
That
make
doesn't
that decision.
affect taxes on the houses out there top of it.
No, sir.
The 600,000 that you have got, 600,000, that's just the 675, 600 plus thousand, that's just 25%. That does not include your engineering costs and future engineering costs.
You're correct. The way JCUA would intend to handle the project would be primarily handling that in-house through our in-house engineering staff. So we would be saving on that portion of it. We have 2 PEs on staff now, so that's how we would be intending to handle that.
I think Mr. Gill had a question.
Yeah, I got a question, man. If we go ahead and vote on this tonight and let JC,
I'm sorry?
if we go ahead and vote on this tonight and let JCUA put these water lines in, it won't cost the city anything. Y'all be paying 600,000.
Well, you're correct, but to be clear, I'm not asking you to surrender anything tonight. If November or whenever we get noticed that we have the funds available to do the replacement, I'll approach you and say, hey, we've got funds available to do the replacement. Will you please surrender the certificate for this area only? I don't want to do anything anticipating something to change that, because in the interim, whatever revenue you get from the sale of water and sewer in that area, I don't want to remove that from you prematurely.
Okay, I got that. My question is though, if we do annex that area up Ocean Springs Road to 57, and y'all own the water, y'all own this water system, JCA owns it, and we want to buy the system, and do we have the right to offer y'all? In other words, we're trying to say that we want to buy it. What's to stop y'all or JCUA from saying, nah, we don't want to sell it, we like the water system, we put it in, not for sale? What I want to do is make sure that it will be for sale if we annex that area. In other words, you can't stop us from negotiating with you.
No, sir, I cannot.
Okay, that's what I need.
Everything's for sale. One of my board members back there would be quick to say everything's for sale. People think water and sewer, there's a big margin in this industry, and there's not.
So what I'd like to suggest, and I've looked at this and read this I'd like to suggest tonight that we ask our counsel, Nicole Sullivan, to meet with you and the mayor and work out the details. There's a lot of questions. I don't know what the Public Service Commission rules are and what we would have to go through if we did this. Any other options? And I would like to suggest that Nicole, our counsel, Nicole, looks at this, meets with you and works through all this, maybe answers Mr. Gill's question, putting something in there for resale, et cetera. But I prefer, I'm not ready, I don't think any of us are ready to vote on this. I don't have enough of the details. And so I would suggest that we go forward. I realize you're under a fuse in November, and I would like, maybe she would meet with you and anybody else she needs to meet with, Public Service Commission, et cetera, and come back to us at our next meeting, September, whatever, what's the next meeting?
15.
Mr. Papania, if I can interject, I don't want to come in September requesting this. I don't want to come in October requesting this. I don't want you to do anything until November or whenever I get notified that we've got the money. I don't want to take that revenue from you.
Yeah.
No, I would agree, and I think this will give us time to make a decision and look at this thing, and let her look at it, research it, and we could set a date up in November, December, whenever you want, if this thing does transpire.
Right.
It's my understanding that one reason it's here tonight is because if you guys wanted to do an application, they're trying to let us know that we would be probably needing to do the application now because they're going to find out if they have the money, so we would need to have an application up there. So really what tonight is about, probably, do we want to do an application? And then if we got approved, I think they're willing to try to step back and maybe it get transferred, if
Yes.
that all happens.
If I could elaborate on that point, there were two primary reasons for us to bring this to you at this juncture. One, if the city chooses to go forward, we cannot transfer our application to you. That was the first question we asked the Corps of Engineers. You have to do your own standalone application. So two, if you do want to do your own application, the second question that has to be answered is, are you going to commit that fund in your FY21 budget to match if you're selected to do the project? So that's the 2 points that I want to make sure that the city was aware of.
I think we all know the answer to that is no.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing though, I really don't like the idea of giving any services away. Now, we may have to go this route. We've already given you a water tower that I really didn't want to give up for obvious reasons, but we did. But we need to really have some hard discussions in-house before we, like you said, there's going to be definitely a vote tonight. And I appreciate you coming and bringing this information, but I think we all know that we're not going to apply for this. And if it goes this route, then we will be working with you on our certificate. So I think that's kind of where we are. But we got to look at this hard and heavy and really think about the future of that area.
But at Mr. Papania's suggestion, I will get with Nicole and we'll work out tentative outline and details that if you as a board did elect to go that route, you would understand the ins and outs and the pitfalls and some of the obstacles that may or may not be in the way so that we can
And
have that more well.
I'll coordinate that meeting tomorrow.
I got one last question, Mayor. Whether we run the lines or y'all run the lines, my question is, you will just stub it off right at the road and let the homeowner do their own extension water line to the street?
Actually, the way that we've got the system,
Don't give them a right.
we're going to request a right of entry from the homeowners so that we can take it up to the house. And then they would be required to do the connection at the house. But that way we could ensure that all of the infrastructure is put in place, not just to the right of way, but to the edge of the building as much as possible.
Well, if we did it, I don't know if we could do it. I don't know if we go on private property like that. I don't think we can, maybe y'all can, but I don't.
It depends. You have to get the right of entry forms and do some various things, but typically you do try to stay on the edge of the right of way, as you say. But for some of our systems with the step tanks, as opposed to just a dedicated sewage service line, so some of those just difference. It's kind of like West Jackson County Utility District has on-site pumps at individual houses. We have similar situations.
That's what I was going to ask you. That area that
Colonial Estates, is it gonna require those people to have lift stations, grinder pumps at their houses?
We prefer not to use the grinder pump. We prefer to use a step tank arrangement, which is similar to, it literally is a septic tank effluent pump. It's a septic tank with a pump inside of it. That's what a step system is. And that's what we prefer to utilize in a situation similar to this.
Right, and y'all been providing that to the homeowners when y'all,
Yes.
when y'all make that
Where
change?
where we can. And there are occasions where the homeowner is required to pay for that, but there are occasions where we have the grant funds or whatnot to offset those costs, and we've done that where we could.
Is this project gonna offset?
I believe so.
that
They,
too?
I hate to say off the cuff, but I believe so.
Okay.
Eric, a very general question. If you are awarded or receive the money in November, what kind of time frame do you have for construction and having the work complete to those people?
I would anticipate if we are notified in November and we initiate the internal design and the transfer for the certificate at that same time and that time runs concurrently, that construction would probably occur somewhere around the summer of '21. Initiation of construction. Again, that's a premature timeline, but we're talking about a year from now.
Before you're done.
Or a year before it started, possible, depending upon permits.
Since we're in September.
It seems like the end of the year already.
Yeah.
And also, Eric, give us a detailed map of exactly where a certificate would need to be given.
Yeah,
And I think that's the next biggest question, is do we have to give a control certificate for that area, or can we carve out?
Yeah, well, the preliminary that I sent Patty was a very carved out. It's only north of, I think, CC Camp Road and east of Riley Road, and then south from the northern portion of Colonial Estates south. I mean, it's very limited. I don't know the total acreage of what
It is just the part that's known as Colonial Acres. I didn't know for sure if that was positive, so I didn't.
yeah, that was my intent. We
Yeah.
don't, I mean, I heard somebody say, well, you are taking off Sunplex, and I said, well, that's news to me. We don't want it.
Sunplex is not involved.
All right, well, we'll set up that meeting, between Eric and Nicole and myself, and we'll get all this knocked out for everybody. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Real quick.
Thank you, Jerry.
Real quick, I think we need to, for item 4E, this does need to be a roll call vote, so we'll need to just redo that. So for item E, well, we already did the motion, so. Yeah, Costin, okay, so E, item E. E is in Eric. So we need to do a roll call, so for item E, Mr. Gill?
Aye?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, motion passes. All right. All right, item B, discuss moving the November 3rd, 2020 regular meeting to Wednesday, November 4th due to the election.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Papania. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item C, adopt resolution authorizing execution of MOU and hold harmless agreement with the local creatives for use and activities at the Mary C. O'Keefe.
So moved, Mayor.
All right, motion by Mr. Gill,
Second.
second by Mr. Cox. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have one question. So, the agreement with the Friends ends October the 8th, right? So, are we okay to overlap that with this?
Yeah, geez. Whoa.
She's excited.
Yeah, I looked into that, so, we should be good. First of all, the agreement that exists currently between the Friends, the local creatives, also names the city of Ocean Springs as a party to the agreement, and the board did not approve that agreement, nor did anyone sign off on it from the board, the mayor, so technically it's void as to the city and it's void in general.
I thought it automatically renewed.
No, we never, they put our name on a contract and didn't consult with us or have us approve it.
But doesn't the Friends of Mary C's contract or agreement say that we have the right in the city to view any content, so wouldn't that be the same thing if they put us on there?
No, if we're a party to a contract, it's specifically a memorandum of understanding between parties, that has to be approved by the Board of Aldermen. Anything with your name on it has to be approved by the board and then executed by the mayor per your authority. So there's that issue with the contract, but then
you're right that the agreement with the Friends of Mary C. doesn't end until the 8th. However, we have multiple discussions and emails that say that they plan to leave before that. And so we can make the argument on anticipatory repudiation, which means they don't agree to continue until the 8th.
Should we get that in writing though, that they're gonna leave early?
We have it in writing. They haven't given us an exact date, but again, we have emails that say they don't plan, even as recently as today, that they don't plan to stay until October 8th.
That's exactly what the email said. We do not plan to stay until October 8th. We're looking at another week or two and we're out.
So legally, yes, you're okay to approve this contract should you wish to approve it.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we've come to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any items to pull from the consent?
J and K.
J and K?
Yeah.
All right, anything else? All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of items J and K, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion, Mr. Empey.
Second.
Second on Mr. Gill. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, I'm gonna, for J and K, this is a conversation for Carolyn and I, because I know Carolyn and I will go way back on this since the planning commission. And back in the day when we didn't have an ordinance for this particular short-term rentals, they were happening throughout the city, and we went back and forth, and it took a long time to get to where we are today. And you know, and I monitor them pretty well. I mean, I have an updated sheet of how many of them are on the ward. I try and keep in touch with the problems or any issues that we have, and we have not had any issues, to my knowledge, at least with those. Now, with that being said, it's known that it's a one-year permit. So if something happens where we get complaints with the police department, or they don't follow the regulations with parking or anything not maintaining their property, they risk losing that for the one after every year, right? And that's
Correct.
Work for Nicole.
I think Nicole blew it out.
Okay. Yes, all the permits are renewable, but they're renewable every year. So every year we notify them. We do an inspection again, re-inspection. Anything would have to be corrected that has gone awry. We also check with code enforcement and the police department on any complaints related to use of the short-term rental. And to date, with all of the, I think we've had 40-something permitted, but we only have about a mid-30s right now. I don't remember the exact date or the exact number.
37.
Zero, yeah, 37, thank you. 0 permitted short-term rentals have received complaints that have come to our office. So, and I can only speak to the ones that are permitted, but we do monitor them very closely and make sure that they're, registered to pay their taxes and that there's no complaints. But it's reviewed every year, and if they are not compliant, then they run the risk of being revoked.
right. And so that's the part that I want everybody to understand, is that it's not a free for all out there, and a lot of people that have applied for them, some of them have let them lapse. Some people haven't even done them anymore. But I do watch them really close, and I know Carolyn does too. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I assume that both of these have already went through all their inspections and everything is 100% with building and with planning, and now through planning and now
Correct.
us.
All the boxes were checked before it even went to planning commission, so it's fully compliant, and again, will be reviewed next year, and if we get complaints in the meantime, it'll be reviewed, and if it meets the criteria, it could be revoked. So it's not just every year. If we receive complaints, we would investigate those as well.
I mean, I feel like, and I don't know about the rest of the board, and I would ask y'all to have something to say it, but I think that what we have in place is pretty stringent. I mean, if people get caught doing this outside of ordinance, they risk, well, they don't risk, they lose the privilege of being able to move forward doing it. People that have not followed the rules are no longer doing it. So, I mean, I really feel like the neighbors have protection with what we have in place.
Yeah, it's really been a good thing. The VRBO has worked out fantastic. I was very much afraid of letting too many open up, Ricky, when we first approved this. And I'm very pleased with what we've got right now in place. I think it's been.
Let me interject something. I was on the board when the short-term rentals were presented to the board. And took a while, took a year maybe, 2 years to get it all straight. But I don't believe that if you own a home and you buy that home in a residential neighborhood, an R1 neighborhood, and then someone comes along and buys a home alongside of you and uses it as a hotel, and you bought that piece of property for R1, most restricted, or R2, or R3, single family dwelling. And I just don't think it's fair for the homeowner that the house next to him can be rented overnight like a hotel. And so, everybody's got their own, everybody thinks different, but I just don't think it's fair to the homeowner. Lowers their property value. Now, the commercial area is different.
I disagree with property value.
Well,
I think we all agree.
there's nothing proven.
Well, I mean, we have the ordinance in place, and I mean, as far as these two items, they've passed all the inspections, they've passed everything that they need to do, so, I mean, talking about the broader short-term rentals is one thing, but I think with this particular application, I mean, if they've jumped through any hoops and they've got all the inspections and such done if they need to, I think it's only proper to approve it.
Man, I understand that she meets all the requirements, and we have an ordinance in place, an ordinance passed years ago. But I just say, like I say, me and Matt McDonald voted against the ordinance. It was a 5-2 vote. But let me say this too, and my point is, Carolyn, is that if you don't have a homeowners association, let me back up. If that neighborhood where a lady wants to put, or a person wants to put a short-term rental, if you have a homeowner association, if they say no to it and meet the criteria, then it can't be approved.
That was built into the code. Primarily, there are some HOAs that specifically say you have to rent it for 6 months or a year. And so we knew that if there was an HOA with that in the covenant that they could enforce, we would come in conflict with it. So that's why we addressed the HOA. So if the HOA has that in their covenants or wants to put that in their covenants, then we wouldn't, force that or yeah, we wouldn't allow, force them to accept it.
So that's the only recourse they have. But if they don't have a homeowners association, they have no recourse of stopping it, according to the ordinance.
Any decision by the Board of Aldermen can be appealed to the circuit court. So
Right.
there's always recourse. So
Right.
let me address that. But there is
Right.
legal recourse.
That's it, but I'm talking about, we have a lady here that lives next door to her. She has no way of objecting to it, except going to court, getting her lawyer and going to court, and standing up here and objecting to it. Now, we do have a bed and breakfast ordinance that she would have a right to bed and breakfast. There's a piece of that ordinance to where if you don't have a homeowner association, there's a way that you can object to it, a legal way. You can object to a bed and breakfast. And it's in the ordinance. And we had thought about transferring that particular part of that ordinance to the homeowners, to the bed and breakfast and to the short-term rental at one time. and, because we never did do that, but you know what I'm talking about, Carolyn.
I can't remember the provision. The bed and breakfast ordinance was pre-existing.
Yeah, I don't think, this is a broader conversation, and I appreciate, having it, but, just with the interest of the two items, I think, I'd like to go ahead and call the vote to approve these two. Did Artie get a motion?
Ricky Bull, yeah.
So being that they did meet the criteria for the ordinance, and they thought they did meet up everything they needed to do, I'll make a motion that we approve J and K.
Second.
All right, motion to approve J and K by Mr. Hoffman, seconded by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, I just wanted to explain, we have a lady in the audience out there, and I just want to explain to her some of the history, because I talked to her on the phone today. I want to explain some of the history behind it. I didn't mean to take up too much of your time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I'm just trying to explain it, and, feel like you kind of cut me off there, Mayor.
well, I apologize.
But I mean, that's why I'm up here, that's why I'm elected, so I get up here and voice my opinion. And, but Carolyn, me and you have talked about this, because I think there is a mechanism that we were gonna transfer into short-term rental on a better
I'll have to go
rate.
back and look at that. I don't
Yeah,
recall.
I'll give it back to McDonald, we had talked about that a while back.
All right, moving to department reports. We've got the doctor claims. Anybody have any items for the doctor claims?
So moved.
All right, motion to approve by Mr. Hoffman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, same thing with the budget report.
Motion to accept the monthly budget report.
All right, motion Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item C, authorize adjustment of water sewer accounts. Patty?
Yeah, I have it.
I'm not sure that any of them really took a lot of explaining, except I did talk to her about number 2, because the water line was broken by Elliott Homes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Elliott Homes did pay all the water, and all that's being asked for is the sewer. They didn't know they broke it. The minute they found out, they went over, they fixed it, and this water did not go through the sewer. So that request on there is just for sewer, and I told her, since they broke it, I didn't know how you guys would feel about it. And so she said, well, it's actually on the church, so if we decide Elliott Homes should pay it regardless and pay the sewer too, then I guess they would need to pay the church, because the water bill's in the church's name. And that was the only one that I really thought y'all might.
I think we should approach Elliott Homes, Elliott Homes about paying $394. If in fact they did break the water line, then I think they're responsible.
Was it a subcontractor of Elliott that broke it, or was it Elliott's? I mean, it's gotta be a subcontractor of Elliott.
Regardless, they should have known they broke the water line when it broke. You don't break a water line and not know it.
I agree.
And they should have let somebody know, or made some attempt to repair it on site, or let us as a city know to come out, hey, we got a broken line. That didn't happen, so in my opinion, they're responsible for sewer and water.
Absolutely.
And the problem is that's between the church and Elliott Homes. It is, I was in there when Megan came and explained it to Patty, and it was broken one afternoon and fixed the next morning, so it wasn't a long-term leak. It happened in one day, but the problem is gonna be that if you do require the church to pay it, that's just something that they're gonna have to work out with Elliott Homes, that since the church is on the bill, and it was their water sewer meter and line that was broken. So I guess my point is you either relieve the church or you don't, but between the church and Elliott Homes is where the issue exists.
So Elliott,
Unfortunately.
the church has already consulted with Elliott about it.
Oh, I don't know that.
I think first they should probably consult about it.
Yep.
They paid the additional water. The Elliott Homes did pay the water, and I told her, I said, I think the board will still see that Elliott Homes was at fault, and I don't think they'll want to do it. And she said, well, this was just the normal, and when anybody has this happen, they come forth and ask for the sewer. But yeah, I too wondered how you guys would feel about it, so I didn't talk to her.
I've got another problem.
the thing is, though-
84,000 gallons of water in 24 hours or less, 84,000 gallons. You see,
The thing,
That's
Tremendous
unreasonable.
amount of money.
the thing is, though, is that every other meeting we sit up here and we look at these, and it's all been like what you see up there. It's been, you know, valves that break or something that, a tree, something that has to do with natural, you know, over time progression damage. And, you know, if I break a fiber optic line on the side of the road right now, I'm gonna have to pay to get the fiber optic line fixed. I mean, you know, and that's where it's hard for us to make a decision to relieve, you know, all that stuff. Subcontractors should have insurance when they do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I felt like that Elliott Homes should pay the church. I was right there with y'all.
I was.
She just said this is the normal, and so the church should come forth and ask, and so her only place is to put it in front of y'all.
Can we place that sewer bill on hold?
We can
until
make it where there
can-
won't be any late fees, yes.
And let them negotiate with Elliott to get that taken care of, because I don't think we should forgive that in this circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make it where there's no late fees, and she can call the church, and she probably even can call Elliott Homes and tell them that the city's not going to forgive that, they still broke the pipe. It's not like a homeowner, it's not really the same.
Like I said, had they made an attempt or effort to let us know, or somebody know, hey, we broke your water line, not wait till the next day, then I'd be a little more sympathetic to the
Right.
They
contractor.
didn't do the sewer.
I think
They ran
Nicole
out
said
on
they
time.
did do it,
That's correct.
yeah.
So we can waive the sewer fee. They
It is
paid
just
the
the
extra
sewer.
water.
Yeah, it is
They paid
just the
for water.
sewer. They paid all the water, but
It's trying to
still,
prove a point to some of these contractors.
yeah. Nicole was in there, and I'm pretty sure that she said, that Megan said she thought they fixed it as soon as they found out. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying they weren't aware they broke it. I think they weren't
You do
aware.
not break a water line,
Okay.
even a service line, and not know it. No way.
So I'm a girl.
All right.
Whatever you guys wish, that's what I'll have her do. I'll have her
And
reach
they
out.
call them dig before they did any
Why
work.
don't we pull that one and let them
Sir?
discuss it amongst them?
Did they
call
Until the next meeting.
question is, did they call
I have no idea.
We can always table that.
Let's table that one or just pull it and we'll wait till the next meeting so that the church and the contractor can
Okay.
discuss it and bring it back before us.
I won't tell them that. They might not be watching, but I'll tell her to call them and tell them they need to pay it, and we'll see what happens. And we'll make sure there's no late fees on the church.
Okay.
Okay?
There a motion? The rest?
I think.
I'll make a
The last
motion
one.
to approve, all of them with the exception of 8900 Old Spanish Trail and 4146 Meadville Boulevard.
Second.
Motion on Mr. Empey, second on Mr. Cox. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, now to general public comment. We've allotted 30 minutes total for this, and if anybody has anything you would like to say to the board, you have the floor for up to 3 minutes. Just come to the podium. All right. Seeing no particulars, we will go to Alderman's Forum. Real quick before we get to Alderman's Forum, today we've been working on this Mary C. Transition. It's going very, very well. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of things a lot of really good stuff coming. But we're working on. Stephen and I will be. Where's Stephen? There he is. With his Cowboys mask. Well, Stephen and I are interviewing some candidates this Friday morning. However, obviously we won't get that person hired that day or, that next week. So I would like to entertain the idea of having a interim coordinator. And we have Sarah Carpwich here from the local creatives, and she has expressed interest in serving as the interim coordinator. Obviously, this would just be temporary to, help us with the, the transition and bringing all of our ideas to life. And I fully support, I think she's, done a lot of incredible stuff already with her business and in the room and such, and I'm excited that we approved her MOU today, and so I'm asking the board to entertain. Where's Nicole?
I think it's a good idea, man. We need someone in there, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we can.
Yeah, so obviously I don't have anything drawn up, this was just discussed today, but I wanted to bring it today for discussion and see what everybody thought.
I like it.
Mayor, is that a paid position? You haven't talked to us, so we're not really
Well-
understanding what's happening.
We would have to discuss with Sarah, but I wanted to at least get the board's thoughts on it. And Sarah's here if you would like to talk to her. Talk
Is
to
that
her.
her back there? That was Mr. Cody?
I think it's a great idea. The only question I would have is how's this gonna work with the friends not being complete until the 10th?
Yeah, I'm
Or
unclear.
the 8th. Are we good with that? I mean,
I didn't hear the
Bobby, I
beginning.
can't hear you, Dan.
We're talking about having an interim.
No, I heard that. I didn't hear the beginning of what he said. Just the
I
beginning.
mean, I'm fine with having an interim, but how is this gonna work with the friends having control of the building till the 8th possibly? Possible. So really, we can't go forward with that until they leave the building evacuated.
Right, and today I asked that we get a for sure date. I sent the mayor an email asking that we get a for sure date from the Friends of the Mary C. And then my other question was related to pay. So I think that those are two things that we definitely need to look into before approving it, but you could always approve it contingent upon those details being worked out.
I don't figure it out, work some details out.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable making any decisions tonight until we know for sure when their exit date is.
Right, and it was just brought up to me today as well,
Yeah,
so there hasn't been a whole lot of time to look into it, but
Yeah,
I
and
think you just wanted to bring it up.
And we don't have to make anything today, I just wanted to throw it out there to see what everybody thought.
I think the concept is great, we just work the details out. Because we may have some events between now and then.
This
How
is
about,
kind of-
how about we approve just moving ahead with some negotiations and discussions with our attorney just and see if this is even doable?
Second.
All right, is that a motion?
That's the motion.
All right. Motion, Mr. Blackman, second, Mr. Gill. Before I call, we could always figure that stuff out and then tack it on as a special call Thursday. I assume we could do that since we're already gonna be here. I mean, is that acceptable?
We get it worked out that quick.
Well, at least the.
We do have a special call on Thursday, so we could reevaluate it then.
Okay. Well, let's do that. So we'll go to the drawing board. We're already going to be here for a budget hearing Thursday at 6 o'clock, correct? So what we'll do is if a special call is needed, I'll call it for 5:30 or something like that.
You can have a hearing at it too.
Right.
Just add it to the agenda.
Or we can just add it to the agenda. We'll do that. Okay, so motion's on the floor. All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, Alderman's forum, Mr. Gill.
No, I'm fine there.
Candace, this is more for Public Works. This weekend is the Art Walk on Saturday. I talked to, we need the special event signs and some garbage cans downtown. And when I inquired about a special event form, they said they did fill one out in May, I believe. And I don't know if y'all saw it or not. I don't know who is, I know Megan's not here tonight, but can we get those special event signs out Friday afternoon and some garbage cans? All right, thanks. That's all I have.
I just want to bring the board up to date on the meeting we had, Ricky, this week with the power company, what we had discussed. We met with several members of the Mississippi Power Company and reviewed lighting options for Front Beach, the decorative cans or regular street lights or solar lights. And we're in the middle of discussing those options, and they will get back to us with numbers and ideas, and hopefully get it back. We'll all take a look at it before we approve any of that.
But they're gonna put one up, is that up
Yeah,
yet for
they're
the
gonna
public
put
to
a, they're gonna
use
put a
it?
street light up tomorrow. Yeah. So that we can see what it,
So if you wanna drive down at night, you should be able to see what light it does now once it's up, just a sample.
see how it works. That's all, yeah.
Mr. Ken?
I would like to tell Darrell thank you, Stringfellow, for the work. Thanks, Darrell, for the work you're doing, your young lady that's working for you. I've had several compliments in the ward about cars being removed and junk being removed, so thank you for doing that. Let's keep on rolling.
I'll pass it on to her also.
If you would, please, I appreciate it. Thank you. I know you get a lot of flack because these things have been sitting there, but I appreciate what you do. Thank you. That's all I have there.
Rob?
Good.
I just got one thing, Chief McCoy, just wanted to give kudos to your guys at the fire station. My daughter and I went by Saturday with hurricane supplies, and before I could get out of the truck, your guys were out there getting it unloaded. There were some folks that pulled up behind me, and before we could hardly even move, those guys had it unloaded and in the trailer. I don't know when y'all are heading to Louisiana, but it looked like y'all had a pretty good load already. I appreciate the effort y'all are making over there, and those guys are right on top of it.
Thank you.
That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And I'll echo that. Heather Eason, I talked to Heather Eason. She said she spoke with y'all and got everything coordinated for Thursday. So I want to thank you for doing that and offering your facilities. For those Thursday at, you know what time it starts?
They're gonna start at 4.
4 o'clock. Comeback coolers. We were working with them to come in here, but obviously we got the public hearing, so we moved them over to the fire department, and Chief met with Heather, and they organized it. And so, everybody knows Comeback Coolers is a great organization, and so they'll be using our facilities on Thursday. So appreciate that.
We are still taking donations also.
Yeah, we're still taking donations. We're taking donations for, everyone affected by Hurricane Laura in Texas and Louisiana. So we're still organizing, a time to go over there, but if anybody would like to give a little something, you can drop it off to the fire department, and it'll be much appreciated. So with that, we do have some items for executive session, so is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session and see if we need to change that.
All right, motion by Mr. Gill,
Second.
second by Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We'll meet in the meeting room right in front. We'll meet there.
Which is? Oh, okay, that would be, well, I'm liking it, my dad, but Magnolia, yeah, he lives just down the road from me. Yeah. I think he came when my brother was there.
Yeah, because you were
Because when I was there, it was White Moody.
Oh, he was after, he was before.
Well, no, my brother, I think, Mr. Moody too.
Did I get that?
It would have either been my Jason or Jeremy.
Jason.
That would have been my I sure will.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
overnight, it takes so much to but he wasn't feeling, he was having some acid reflux overnight. So he just said, he's feeling much better, but I was like, I'll go, you know, just chill out. Yes. We are going to talk to him. This is not good. This is, yeah. She came and told me she did. Yeah. She told her that because she came back and told me. Okay. Yeah. Feeling good like last night, overnight. So he was up all night. He's doing better, but I just called him I know. It never, ever. He needs to put some time on. I know. I know.
He was saying Jerry one, I thought he did one the other guy.
Oh,
when I was laughing. And I said, thank you, Eric. And he said, thank you. He said Jerry, but I'm like, you know, I was Eric, and I'm laughing and defending this thing. But then it hits me, and he's called Jerry Monroe. Yeah. Well, you noticed that I said, did you hear what I said? Yeah. Well, being that we have know nothing, we know.
Hey, don't try to sit down. I gotta write something.
That's funny. You were an alright guy,
Oh, the only time I wear it is in here. I want everybody to sit on this. Yeah, I'll everybody in Cleveland is a Saints fan. I'm like, you don't even know the names of them in the 80s, you know? Oh, it's Drew Brees. I was like, yeah,
We're borderline.
Yeah, I'm Stephen. I didn't introduce myself to you. I apologize.
I didn't either. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh, okay, you're
Yeah.
Good deal. I just started out a month back from Cleveland, Mississippi. I think you probably know where that is. You'd have to get lost to find it. School at Delta State University.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. You've got to do the best you can. Yes, ma'am. That's what I tell them. You've got to do what you think is best for your children.
They're like family.
Well, I've got some big shoes to fill. She's shared in the shoe football. She's came in 3 or 4 times, and I told her, Miss Jerry, you won't get this office anytime. Is this your office? She goes, no, it's not yours. I was like, Miss Jerry, I'm going to love the red carpet for you. It's funny, I messaged her today, and then she finally called me. I thought, Miss Jerry, either I was going to make up an excuse for you to come by the office, or I have an excuse. I need you to come by. But she's super, absolutely super. And she did not have to help me one, I mean, she didn't have to do anything. And she did. How about the mom stuff? when I first started in Park and Rec business, when I got out of college 21 years ago, I worked for a lady, worked for a man just like her. There's no gray area. It's here, yeah. And I can respect that.
Well, they increased it to 50, we're at 37.
They went to Florida and Scallop.
Town tour, and we don't know if they, somebody turned us in, then we investigate.
Yeah, we got it. And go to the, and look at the camera.
You want me to look at the camera?
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah.
It can't. It doesn't look like it's this direction, does it?
You're in it. Yep, you're in it.
I'm in it? Okay. No, go back to where you were.
Yep.
All right.
Do you need,
The recording?
us for budget? But we don't, it's delayed, budget artifacts? No.
Motion made by
I'll probably remember about midnight.
Mike Impey, seconded by John Gill, to stay in executive session to discuss personnel in the fire department, potential litigation with the Friends of the Mary C, potential litigation regarding 321 Jackson Avenue, and potential litigation on the inlet tax abatement.
Wait, Mary C. Jackson Inlet.
321 Jackson Avenue
Huh?
and the inlet tax abatement.
Okay.
Carolyn will be with us.
Thank you so much.
Mark will be with us, and Chief, you can go on in. Yeah, you're up.